What is going on, YouTube people? Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics here for a little football video. We've been speculating a lot lately that the NFL market did not see a big run up prior to the season starting. That is well established at this point. Sure, some stuff spiked here and there, but nothing has gone absolutely crazy the last 30, 60, 90 days. Not like last year, which is, we kind of thought that was going to be the case because last year was crazy. So I've been speculating that this upcoming NFL season will be very performance based. We know last year a lot of prices came down when the season started, but that's because a lot of prices got really escalated prior to the season starting. The few guys that went up and that went up well, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, a couple others, were guys that did not see massive run-ups prior to the season starting. Can we draw anything from that? I don't know. It's been a wild year since last football season. However, since nothing's seen a rise so far, my speculation has been players that play well are going to see prices increase. And I think that's how it should work. I think we're back to some sort of baseline. We'll find out. We are going to find out in about 10 days. Less than that, actually. This video is posting Saturday morning. We are 8 days away from NFL game. Actually, there's a Thursday night game probably, so less than that. So we're going to find out very, very quickly in regards to how the market is going to treat these guys once the ball starts flying around the air. On the flip side of that, I think players that underperform or teams that underperform are going to see significant decreases. I think there's a lot baked into certain players, specifically from the 2020 class. So what I want to do today is just run down 3 quarterbacks that I feel are a little undervalued based off of what their teams and the player could potentially do, and 2 players that I feel are extremely overvalued. For the same reasons we just talked about. So, like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff down below. Let's go ahead and dive in. 3 undervalued guys first, then the 2 overvalued. And I'm not saying run out and buy these guys because I don't really know what's going to happen. We do not know what the market's going to do. I'm just saying if you think that the market is going to be performance-based, and you also have to believe in the player on top of that, that these potentially could be good times to buy in. They could be bad times to buy in. I don't know. I really don't. I'm speculating based off the data that we have in our hands. First up, Kyler Murray. I own no Kyler Murray currently. I actually just put an offer in on a Kyler card, and I've been eyeing some up because this stuff this entire time has felt too cheap. You look at his base prism. This is his Prism Silver PSA 10, base prism, base optic, optic hollow, and field level, all in PSA 10. Silver at 2K, obviously that seems pretty high. His prism base at $300 at Pop 2K seems extremely reasonable, especially when we start looking at some of these other players. We'll get there in a second. Optic base 228, optic hollow 730, field level 330. And these are, if you care about the percentage up and down, I ran these back 60 days. His prism base for 300 seems extremely reasonable when I'm just going to do it now. Spoilers, I think Herbert's ridiculously overpriced. Justin Herbert's PSA 10 prism is $765. And for the purposes of this, I also pulled, because there's a lot of 2020 stuff in SGC slabs, I did pull SGC comps as well. Sorry, his prism base is $680. $765 is what the high sale was. So prism base, Justin Herbert, $680 in a PSA 10. SGC 10, $326. This isn't about where SGC is comping to PSA or anything like that. I just wanted to include SGC slabs with Herbert specifically. Because there's a lot of his cards slabbed in SGC slabs because of the nature of when he came out, specifically with Select. So to me, $680 for Herbert seems insane when Kyler Murray is $300. And the pop counts are not that much different. Herbert's is 1662, and that's a product that still really hasn't been out that long, so there's probably a lot of those sitting at PSA. Murray is at 2300 at 305. The Chargers could be good. I don't think they're going to be. The AFC is loaded, and the AFC West is pretty good. To think Herbert could just repeat last year again is a big ask. He was excellent last year. But if he falters at all, or the Chargers falter at all, I think that card price comes screaming back to earth at 680. And remember, a year ago, Kyler Murray was Justin Herbert. He was the guy getting all the buzz, and now the roles have reversed. I've really come around on quarterbacks. Just wait 2 years to buy any of them. Let them be in the league for 2 years, then reevaluate, and then go buy them, because all these guys come in so overpriced at the beginning. So Herbert's going to be our baseline here, because to me, he is the most overvalued player in the NFL market, in my opinion. So 680 for his base prism. Just for some comparison's sake, his base optic is 300. His field level, once again, these are PSA 10 prices. Field level base is 641. SGC is 280. Field level silver, which is probably one of his biggest cards besides a Prism Silver. His Prism Silver is 2,900. Field level silver is 2K in a PSA 10 and 1,100 in an SGC 10. I mean, specifically looking at base cards, the Kyler for 300 versus the Herbert for 680 just seems like a screaming deal. Let's move on to the second undervalued guy, Russell Wilson. Seahawks are legit good. Russell Wilson already has a Super Bowl ring. Probably will be a potential MVP contender. Could be a potential Super Bowl contender. DK Metcalf, absolute beast. All the weapons in the world. Great system. Stable team. Amazing player. We're looking at his Topps Chrome. He does have Prism stuff, but Prism in 2012 was super rare. So I went with his Topps Chrome and his Topps Paper. His Topps Chrome base, which is Pop 1000 or 1075, is $565. And it's not like there's a lot of these sitting out there. Whereas Herbert, there is probably a decent amount of him still sitting at PSA. Once again, Herbert base, just mostly looking at base here. I pulled the other ones up in case I wanted to reference them. $680. Russell Wilson, $565. Herbert maybe makes the playoffs. Maybe, if things go right. Russell Wilson could potentially win the NFL MVP. That is on the table. And 1K pop. His base paper, just to give another comparison, $235 in a PSA 10, Pop 1,900. That seems like a pretty good deal too. Russell Wilson seems ridiculously cheap compared to all these guys. He's actually, having looked at this, really sent me down a rabbit hole on his stuff. I'm like, why the hell is his stuff so cheap? It just seems like screaming deal, especially if it's going to be performance-based, because Russ will ball out. So, he puts up a couple big games. It does not take much for this low pop stuff to skyrocket in price. I currently own none. I'm at least looking. I'm intrigued. I am nosing around to potentially pick something up maybe this weekend. Nothing crazy, probably just some base cards, but if I find something at the right price, I may pull the trigger on it. Because here's the thing with Wilson, even if he struggles a little bit this season, there's still good long-term hold value in Wilson. He's not that old, but he already has a Super Bowl. There's plenty of long-term upside with Wilson in addition to short-term. But I think he could make a potential great quick flip for NFL season, if you believe in the player and if you believe in the team. All right. Okay. Here it comes. Here it comes. The pump and dump begins. You ready? Of course, we're going to talk about Baker. Of course, we're going to talk about Baker. Cue up the pump and dump comments about Baker down below. Baker is one of the few football cards I have a ton of. It's one of the few that I'm holding in the season. When you look at Baker's prices, $415 for a base Prism PSA 10 compared to Herbert's at $680. What are we doing? Allen and Lamar, for comparison's sake, go for around $1K. I feel that's, those guys at least are on good teams, established players, established teams. Allen was absolutely amazing last year. Lamar, former MVP, could regain his glory. I have more faith in those guys at least maintaining current prices because their teams are going to be really good, most likely. Same with Baker. Say what you will. The Browns team's ridiculously good. I've talked about Baker a ton on the channel. I don't necessarily need to spend a ton of time on this. But when you look at his base prism for 400 compared to Herbert's at 680, I mean, it's a no-brainer. They're an AFC championship favorite. Them and the Chiefs probably. Chiefs for sure, obviously. But the Browns are probably right there with them as like if you forced NFL pundits to pick the two teams to be in the NFC or AFC title game, I think a lot would say the Browns and the Chiefs. I really do. I really, really do. I believe that. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. I get it. The Baker pump and dump in full effect. But his stuff just seems way too cheap compared to some of these guys. And once again, they play the Chiefs week 1. Chiefs are down 3 offensive linemen, I believe, in that game. Myles Garrett, Clowney, they could feast. If Baker comes out, plays well, and they win week 1 against the Chiefs on the CBS main game, I've said enough about Baker. I don't need to spend any more time on Baker. So he's number 3 of the undervalued guys, in my opinion. Just based off when you look at their prices compared to some of these guys and what the teams are expected to do. That's the other key here with football. What are the teams expected to do? It's not just about the player. Because Herbert's really good. I just don't know how good the Chargers are. And you just look at some of these prices, and it's just absolutely insane. Especially for his base prism is the one that scares me the most, to be quite honest, at almost $700. His silver, I get it. It's pop 79. Sure. Optic Hollow at around 800. That actually seems pretty okay. His Optic Hollow, 820. Baker's, for example, is 630. Kyler's is 721. So the Optic Hollow actually seems okay. That does not seem that terrible, in all honesty. Base Optic at 300. Baker's is at 240. Russell, there's no really good comparison. Kyler's is at 280. So that doesn't seem extreme. But I just feel like his stuff has so much baked into it that you're just asking for trouble holding him in the season. I feel like this is a classic sell it now and buy it back in week 5 or 6. I really do. Maybe I'll be wrong on this. I own no Herbert. I have never owned a Herbert card in my life. So I don't have skin in this game. I'm not sitting here listing all my Herberts on eBay. So, as I always say, do your own research, do your own homework. But just looking at the historical trends, these guys that have high prices going in the season have way more risk associated with them. I said I have 2 guys that I believe are overvalued, both from the 2020 class. One is Herbert. The other one is Joe Burrow. I think, and I like Burrow as a quarterback, but this is more about the short term. There is a real chance the Bengals are going to struggle the first part of this year. The offensive line's still trying to figure things out. I don't know that Burrow fully trusts the knee yet, coming off, the injury last year. And I think they could struggle a little bit to start the season. And if they start just a little bit slow, his stuff's going to come down hard. His base prism's at 327. Now that is a much more reasonable price. But still, Burrow being more expensive than Kyler Murray just doesn't seem right to me. I don't know. That just scares me a little bit. His prism being at 2,700 seems a little high in silver. I get it. Once again, silver. His field level 500 in a PSA 10. Field level silver 1475 in a PSA 10. Like that sort of stuff. His Optic Hollow 700. Interesting that his Optic Hollow is very close in price to Herbert's, but their other cards have a much larger spread. I would have if I own Burrow stuff, I would have a hard time if I'm just in it, to flip. I'm not like PCing Burrow or anything. I personally think they're going to struggle to start the season. I think Burrow's going to have a very good NFL career. I think they could be good the second half of the season. I think Burrow is the ultimate. I could sell it now and buy it back later. I really do. Once again, I own no Burrow cards. I don't have any listed on eBay. I don't have any listed on My Slabs, Star Stock, whatever. But if I did, I would take a hard look at potentially selling their stuff now. And once again, I'm coming at this from, I don't like to carry NFL into season to begin with. And I really don't want to carry it in the season if I think the players already got run up. We have seen this time and time again. We saw it with NBA. A bunch of players saw a bunch of preseason run up. Their stuff went down, or stuff that was overinflated. Now, these guys, you could say, hey, Rob, these guys haven't seen price increases yet. Sure, but there just feels like there's so much baked into these two. And for them to maintain those prices, they are going to have to play extremely well. Extremely well to maintain these prices. So we'll see what happens. I could be right. I could be wrong. I'll probably get some of these right. Probably get some of them wrong. Sure, I'll catch some Baker flack in the comments below. It's going to be an interesting football season with the Baker stuff. I'm sure there'll be a lot of fun stuff with that over the next 18 weeks or whatever the NFL season is now. So let me know what you think. Agree, disagree. I'm sure there's other players I could have pulled into here, but those are the three that undervalued wise that really stood out regarding. Remember, I'm factoring in price and potential team performance. And on the flip side, same with Burrow and Herbert. I'm factoring in price and potential team performance in regards to my sell status on those guys and maybe potential buy status on the other guys. I think it might be okay to buy football right now if you think the guy's undervalued and you think that they're going to outperform expectations, because you're not buying in after a big run up. We'll see. Maybe the whole NFL market falls apart once the season starts. I don't know. It's not following any of the cyclical patterns anymore. We've discussed this a bunch in a bunch of just different videos. So time will tell. We will find out in about 8 days. We will see what happens that Monday after. Do a bunch of stuff spike up after just one game? Who knows? But we will all find out very soon. Like, comment, subscribe. Catch you guys and girls tomorrow for the end of the week. Weekly review. Peace.